Hello, and welcome to the first in a regular series of service news bulletins from Austin Rover. Through these programs, we'll be presenting news, views and technical information for you in the service network. We'll be keeping you up to date with what's happening in Austin Rover service and how it affects you personally, together with innovations and changes to the model range. The great advantage of these programs is that technical items can be visually demonstrated and so be more easily communicated on screen than in a technical bulletin. But don't forget, the subjects covered only supplement the technical bulletins, they don't replace them. Among the subjects included in this first program are adjustments to metro heaters and checks on the fuel system of the Rover 216 EFI, together with a status report on Rover 800 series training. But first of all, a reminder about enrolment onto the Accredited Technician Program. Austin Rover's Accredited Technician Program aims to provide a structured training route for everyone in the service department. It incorporates 3 graded status levels for technicians: Accredited, Advanced and Master, and will be developed to include specialist qualifications for service receptionists, foremen and warranty administrators. Enrolment forms for ATP are being steadily returned. If you haven't already completed yours and returned it, do so as soon as possible, so everyone has the opportunity to improve their status and win prizes along the way. We'll keep you up to date with the development of the ATP and talk to some of the prize winners in future service news programs. Last winter's cold weather, and indeed this spring, has given rise to customer complaints about the performance of metro heaters. Now, before you tackle the problem, remember that the fault may not lie with the heater itself. So ask the customer a few questions first and perhaps save yourself unnecessary work. Firstly, is the car driven with the heater fan full on? Remember that the fan must be switched on for maximum heater and demist performance. Secondly, does the engine or the heater take a long time to warm up? If so, check both the operation of the thermostat and its seating in the housing. Remove the thermostat and rotate it so that the spring retaining support legs do not sit across the outlet pipe, restricting water flow. Thirdly, what is the VIN of the car? Heaters fitted to models built after VIN 574210 are controlled by cables. On earlier models, heater temperature is controlled by rods, which may require some adjustment. We'll go through the procedure in a moment, but first of all, let's see how the heater actually operates. This cross-section shows the internal design of the metro heater. When the temperature control is set at the cold position, cold air enters through the ducting from the bonnet, passes across the top of the heater matrix, which is closed off, around the back of the matrix and through into the car. When the temperature control is set to the hot position, the flaps move away from the matrix. The incoming air then passes through the matrix and is heated before entering the car. Note that when the lower flap inside the heater is correctly adjusted, it sits hard against the heater casing. If incorrectly adjusted, a gap allows unheated air to mix with the hot air, resulting in cooler air entering the car. To check for correct flap adjustment, remove the passenger side demister ducting and feel through here for a gap. If a gap is found, you'll need to adjust the controls. To gain access to the controls, located on the right-hand side of the heater, remove the fuse box cover. This primary rod is controlled by the temperature lever on the fascia panel. When adjusting the heater, set the fascia control to the hot position. These 2 levers control the flaps inside the heater, and this is the interconnecting rod. To adjust, disconnect both clips, then move this lower flap lever fully clockwise, so the flap is resting on the base of the casing. Secure the primary rod using a new clip. At this point, check that the flap is firmly against the base of the casing by feeling through the demister duct. Move the top lever anti-clockwise to the uppermost position, but to make sure the top flap doesn't hit the casing before the bottom flap, back the top lever off slightly and fit a new nylon clip to hold it firmly in place. The airflow control directs the air either out of the demister ducting situated on either side of the heater or into the passenger compartment. The flaps are adjusted in the same way as the heat control. Set the fascia control to the uppermost or off position and disconnect the clip. Move the air distribution lever clockwise to fully close the flap and lock the new nylon clip in this position. Check the lever is in the correct position by first setting the fascia control to demist. This operation is best checked with the fan fully on, as air pressure takes up any slack in the linkages and can alter the flap setting, so losing pressure through into the footwell. Now, check air distribution to the car. The flap should be hard against the casing, allowing maximum airflow into the passenger compartment. At this point, check joints and seals, as explained in Technical Bulletin 72, with all face level vents turned off, the direction control in the off position and the fan full on. This will pressurize the casing and identify any leak. Note that on baseline models without face level vents in the fascia panel, a blanking plate is fitted to the heater casing behind the ashtray. Check that this isn't loose or missing, allowing a cold draft into the car. And on all models, make sure the carpet lies flush with the floor and that warm air isn't being lost under the carpet. Cut slots to fit around the blanking studs if necessary, ensuring the carpet fits snugly. Oh, one final point. On MG and VP Metro variants, coolant flow from the heater back to the radiator may be restricted at the union with the bottom hose. Part of the circuit includes this metal pipe. If this protrudes too far into the T-piece, it can restrict the return flow from the heater at this point. To rectify this, slacken the clip, pull the metal pipe away from the T-piece and retighten. So, if a customer has problems with the performance of a Metro heater, take the logical approach to fault diagnosis and help the customer to help you. The new electronic technology of the Rover 800 series has created the need for a new range of fast-check testers. 7 new testers will be available at launch, covering anti-lock brakes, both fuel injection systems, power seats, central door locking, air conditioning and instrumentation. Most of these follow the fast-check philosophy you're already accustomed to, but with greater diagnostic ability and more comprehensive operating instructions. Others are second-generation testers, designated Fast-Check 2, capable of carrying out a number of functional checks on the ECU. Some of the new fast checks incorporate a microprocessor, and by simply pressing the Proceed button, the operator is guided systematically through a series of tests. As each part of the system is checked, its identification code is displayed on the fast-check front panel, accompanied by a green Pass or red Fail LED. The M16 engine fuel injection system's Fast-Check 2 is a serial diagnosis tester which enables certain checks to be carried out by the Fast-Check 2 unit without breaking into the main harness connections. Operating instructions for all Rover 800 Fast-Check testers use graphics with the minimum of text. When a fault has been identified, the possible causes and actions required are laid out in order of priority, making the new Fast-Checks and Fast-Check 2s as simple to use as ever. One of the final stages during the manufacture of Austin Rover vehicles is to set front wheel alignment. Because of the accuracy of the new equipment used in production, front wheel alignment is now no longer included as a PDI operation, with the exception of Metro. The only instances where front wheel alignment does now have to be checked are during major services or after repairs to steering or suspension. Setting the front wheel alignment itself is quite straightforward and something you're familiar with, but a few small points need to be emphasized. Firstly, before you even start, zero your equipment. If it's incorrectly calibrated, of course you'll get false readings. Carry out your testing on an even floor. Bumps or potholes, however small, can alter readings. Next, centralize the steering rack. On earlier cars, there's a centralizing hole on the rack housing, but on later models you have to do the job manually. With the front wheels jacked clear of the ground, turn the steering wheel to full lock one way and mark the 6 o'clock position with a piece of tape. Turn the wheel to full lock the other way and mark the 6 o'clock position in the same way. Turn the wheel back to the center and mark the midpoint on the fascia. Note here that you may have to reset the straight ahead position of the steering wheel. When you've removed the jacks, don't forget to push the car backwards 2 car lengths, then forwards the same distance, keeping the steering wheel in the straight ahead position. Check the alignment using an approved gauge and adjust if necessary. Finally, to isolate any problems such as distortion of the wheel rims, push the car forwards until the wheels have revolved 180 degrees and recheck the alignment. Compare the 2 readings. If a significant difference is found, the fault must be located and rectified. If you follow these important points, which are all set out in Technical Bulletin 89, your readings will be accurate. Accuracy counts when estimating repair costs too. Many dealers have already discovered the benefits of using the Quota price manual. When a customer rings around for the cost of a repair, he's going to choose the dealer who can give him an immediate quotation, and that will be the dealer who uses Quota price. Instant quotes for labour and parts on a large number of separate operations are all at his fingertips. And he's also satisfying a condition of the Motor Industry Code of Practice, which requires that dealers will provide at least an estimate of cost for labour and materials. Now your customer service can be further improved. The Quota price manual has been extended to include an accessories section. How reliable have your quotes been for fitting a sunroof, rear seat belts, or an alarm system? Repair times, part numbers and prices, all there at a glance. And what's more, the new accessories section is included at no extra cost. Excellent value at £120. But Quota price doesn't just help the service receptionist. Don't forget costing jobs, workshop loading, details for the job card, part numbers and quantity to order. Quota price helps the cost office, service manager, warranty section and parts department too. Now, it doesn't matter if you miss the deadline for the 1986 edition. You can enrol any time and pay on a pro rata basis. An application form was attached to policy letter S/630/86. Fill it in and send it off now, or contact the Quota price coordinator at Cowley. Your ability to quote all-inclusive prices will improve your efficiency and commercial competitiveness. And having impressed the customer with your promptness and accuracy, don't leave it there. Ask him when he'd like his car booked in. On the Rover 216 EFI model, unwanted air ingress and incorrect mixture setting may give rise to intermittent stalling and poor engine performance. Checks for this are explained fully in Technical Bulletin 77, but we'll go over the main points here. First, check the system for possible air leaks, especially the air intake pipe between the airflow sensor and throttle body. Any leaks or splits here will give an overweak mixture. Check that all electrical connections within the system, especially earthing points, are clean and tight. The fusible link box connections may be loose. If this is the case, remove the screws and insert spring washers. To stabilize idling characteristics, drill a 1.5mm hole in the throttle disc. This will provide consistent airflow at idle. When refitting the disc, ensure that it's central in the throttle body. Unscrew the throttle stop screw until clear of the linkage. Fit the throttle disc, leaving the screws finger tight. Using the throttle lever, hold the disc fully closed and tighten the screws. Check that the throttle operates smoothly between the fully closed and fully open positions. After alteration, check the idle speed and mixture settings as set out in Technical Bulletin item 346, noting the following important points. Before you start, run the engine until it reaches normal operating temperature, that is, until the cooling fan has operated at least once. Ensure that the throttle bypass screw on the throttle body, deleted from later vehicles, is screwed fully home. Remove the idle speed setting screw, coat the threads with Loctite and replace. Set the base idle speed to 750 plus or minus 50 revs per minute. Then check the CO reading. Before you start, ensure your CO meter is not overdue for recalibration. Insert the probe into the exhaust and check for a stable reading of between 1 and 1.5%. If the measurement is incorrect, turn the mixture adjusting screw clockwise to increase the CO reading or anti-clockwise to reduce the figure. So pay special attention to the points mentioned here and in Technical Bulletin item 346, testing as you go to confirm that your adjustments are correct and engine performance on Rover 216 EFIs should no longer be a problem. We're now on to an important reminder to all technicians about the welfare of car batteries. Most batteries nowadays are maintenance-free or require only minimal attention. However, they can still be damaged through neglect or abuse. Damage to a battery is most likely to occur whilst the vehicle is in storage. Now, for this reason, the standards of care applicable have been revised to include this period. There are several important procedures to follow in order to maintain a battery's performance. Firstly, when the vehicle arrives at your dealership, carry out a check on the battery condition. If the vehicle is to be stored, disconnect the negative battery connection and check regularly for a healthy battery. For cars in the showroom, carry out the open circuit voltage test weekly, or even more frequently if showroom traffic is heavy. Finally, carry out the full battery checks, including the heavy-duty discharge test, when the vehicle undergoes its PDI. This is very important to establish battery condition. It's best to carry out heavy discharge tests using a variable load tester such as the fast check unit. This automatically loads the battery at the rate selected by the operator for a predetermined amount of time. This tester will check the serviceability of the battery and also save your dealership returning a suspect battery under warranty when it is in fact perfectly healthy. A workshop poster maintaining the charge is available at no cost on part number SMD 8809, outlining these requirements. The battery condition monitoring procedure also details the minimum time required to recharge batteries and the maximum charge rates. Keep to these instructions. Remember that electrolyte lost during boost charging cannot be replaced and battery capacity is therefore reduced. Finally, the importance of a healthy battery has become more critical with the increasing use of electronic control systems, so it should always be checked at the start of any diagnostic routine. Remember, electronic equipment can be damaged with fluctuating voltage supplies. During the countdown to the launch of Rover 800 series, all registered dealers will have begun to receive the service support material. During this important pre-launch period, we have reintroduced, especially for Rover 800, the product newsletter. Issue 1 of this newsletter was included in the initial service launch pack. Further issues will be dispatched on a weekly basis during the period of 100% prior consultation. Issue 1 concentrates on the pre-delivery operations, but in general, the newsletter will cover important service aspects related to this vital new model range. Now, to keep you up to date with training on the Rover 800 series, 5 new courses are underway at Product Training College. Firstly, there's a 2-day course on the V6 engine that will cover all the main engine components together with fault finding and diagnosis. Following this on the program is a 2-day course on the programmed fuel injection system that looks at adjustment and fault diagnosis using fast check. Another 2-day course on electrics and electronics looks at how the systems operate and how to diagnose faults. A 2-day course later in the year covers anti-lock braking, power steering and the suspension systems. And finally, a 2-day course for the specialist technician on automatic transmission, which involves mechanical power flow hydraulic circuit and pressure tests with emphasis on fault diagnosis. To complement the new programs, existing courses have been modified to take in the technology of the Rover 800 range, and more new courses will be developed throughout the year. These include support for the launch of the O-Series diesel engine and a course designed specifically for service receptionists, covering basic fault diagnosis and technological innovations. You should all have received a schedule for the courses available. Take full advantage of the opportunity to improve your performance. Book your places now. Service News has 2 purposes. As well as passing on information to you in the network, we also want feedback, a 2-way communication. So if you have any helpful hints for other service departments, send them in and we'll look at featuring them in future programmes. Also, if your service department is holding any special promotions or functions, let us know. Drop a line to Service News, P.O. Box 29, Cowley, Oxford, OX4 2XB. So that covers all the items for this programme. Familiarise yourself with the procedures for checking EFI systems and metro heaters, and remember that in future, checking wheel alignment is no longer required at PDI on the majority of vehicles. Make sure you carry out the required tests on batteries, and finally, for those dealers concerned, keep up to date with the courses available on Rover 800. Well, I look forward to seeing you again in the next issue of Service News.